Tell you afterwards. Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the week 3 edition Sunday Sideline Report here on the Sports Insanity Network YouTube channel. Mike, Dan, and the old sheriff is joining us as well. I mean, there's a number of ways to describe you this morning. Old sheriff, you look like you're going to go play in the World Series of Poker. I mean,
Hey,
I
come
mean,
on. Texas style, baby. Now all I need me is a good big back of ribs.
love a good thing of ribs. I got some ribs in the fridge. I'd go Ravens today, but right?
Well, though I could say Dallas is going to be ready to eat some crow, but they are Ravens. Dallas is going to be ready to eat some Ravens later.
Quote the Raven Nevermore, Edgar Allan Poe,
You got it.
and Raven the wrestler. For those who understand the reference. Dan, good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. No complaints. A little warm, but you know what? Football season, second day of fall, technically today. You know,
Yeah, I guess so. Or is Sunday the first day? I thought Sunday was the first day.
I guess it's technically the first day. I guess the 21st is technically the last day of summer. I don't know.
Yeah.
Te- te-
So
I'm not into your
so
tech. I'm not into your technical terms anymore. I've been out of
oh,
school
oh,
for a while.
I'm in the news industry and
That's
I
true.
heard it
You
was
are.
Sunday. So I'm just trying to make sure I get it right. Because I don't know how many meteorologists are watching this
No, if you're paying
newscast.
attention, Texas, let us know.
Yeah.
Besides Noah,
Noah,
obviously.
send us a sign, Noah. All of a sudden, lightning crashes. That was good.
All right.
Noah sends
Ooh, but
lightning. It's the apocalypse.
yeah. I am so giddy about this Sunday because I get to
Because you're
chill
off.
out and I get to watch every one of you go through chaos on a Sunday. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. And I get to be chilling at home, celebrating a victory a weekend
Oh,
with
he's got a
Mr.
little
Jack.
squishy. Yeah, you got
Listen, you could say chaos. My team starting Skylar Thompson. I already know what's going to happen.
it.
I mean, but Rifkin, you never know. You
It's
just
true.
never
It's true.
know.
You
We've
never
And
seen
that's
know.
part and that's part of the chaos. You never know.
True.
So if Skylar Thompson goes off,
Right.
come on now.
I could look like Mark later today. Except I need to find a cowboy hat that would fit my big head, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Oh my
But
God.
speaking of crazy and wild situations, we'll start with I think the biggest news of the week, and that comes out of Carolina. The Panthers have benched Bryce Young in favor of Andy Dalton. And then, according to, I believe this was Adam Schefter last night, multiple teams have inquired the Panthers on trading for Bryce Young. The Panthers have said they have no interest in trading him. Remember, the trade happened last year before the draft, where the Panthers gave up a ton of assets to get the number one overall pick, and they selected Bryce Young. Dan, we talked about this a little bit on Thursday with the Gridiron show, but just your thoughts here on the whole Bryce Young situation in Carolina.
If Andy Dalton just does a little bit better, and I'm not talking about like going out there and giving the Panthers a lead. I'm talking about if he does a little bit better, moves the offense better, the team's more inspired with him. Whatever the case is, even if they win the goddamn game, which of course no one expects that to happen. But even if he goes out there and wins the game, Bryce Young is done. He's done. Now, of course, I'm not going to go that far yet because I still think that the bigger issue is the fact that the Panthers are just run by a bunch of dumbasses that don't know what they're doing. But part of the problem could be that they have a bad QB too. And that's okay. That's okay to say. So if Dalton does a little bit better, Young is done. He's done. And there's no other way around it because this is a quarterback league. And if your quarterback stinks, and I get that he's young and I get that he has a whole career ahead of him, if in fact that will be the case. I don't know if that is. But, I get that he has all this time ahead. But if he's going to continue to play poorly, whether it's with the Panthers or somewhere else, then we're going to see him exactly for who he is. And I hope that's really not the case because I truly think that, he does have a future in this league. I do. But these are things you got to think about, Mark Halpern.
When the Panthers made that trade, we all knew what it was going to be for. And bringing in Bryce Young was a mistake. They had a chance to get C.J. Stroud. Stroud should have been that top pick. They wanted Bryce Young.
Wait. Hold on. I want you to rephrase that. Frank Reich, who was the coach at the time, wanted C.J. Stroud. He was overruled by David Tepper, the owner.
Very fair. Mike does make a very good point. Without that note being in there, it does not tie the comment together. Thanks, Mike.
Here's David Tepper.
C.J. Stroud should have been number one. I understood you watched what Bryce Young did in college. But here's what I'm going to throw to Mike and Dan right now. How many number one quarterbacks over the last decade have come out with the same type of pedigree? They're going to be amazing, and they haven't made it out of year one.
Well, you're talking about number one overall picks themselves, correct?
I'm talking about top 5 draft quarterbacks. Normally, you see, if we're talking about if you say number one overall, whatever, fine.
No. If you're talking about top picks in general, there's 2 right off the bat. Zach Wilson comes to mind.
Okay.
And I don't necessarily blame him for everything that happened to him. The other one's Josh Rosen.
Okay. Dan?
I think Zach Wilson that's a little unfair because I feel like a lot of the Zach Wilson issues were also just.
But he needed that change of scenery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I agree, and that's the question.
I wouldn't give up on the kid. I'm just saying he needed a change of scenery.
What was the question again, Mark? I apologize.
It was questions of top quarterbacks being drafted and have never panned out even in the first year going into their career.
I mean, you could be Jamarcus Russell, eat yourself out of the league.
I'm about to say, no, I mean, I gotta think about Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
But I think part of Josh Rosen's problem is that, even though he was a good quarterback, he wasn't mentally fit to be in the NFL as well. So, and teams saw right through his ass, his personality.
Right. Both of you nailed one, is Josh Rosen. The other one is still trying to play. And that's Daniel Jones.
Yeah, but I wouldn't necessarily put Daniel Jones in the same category, based on how the Giants organization has been.
There was a top pick to be the leader of that team.
Right, but the Giants can get out of that contract after the year. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, I'm with Mark in the sense that Daniel Jones, I wouldn't necessarily call him a bust because he's not a first. To me, he never should have been a first round pick. He never should have been a top 10 pick. So I get where Mark is coming from, and I kind of agree with him. The Giants shot themselves in the foot when they took Saquon Barkley instead of Sam Darnold.
I don't know. Saquon couldn't catch the ball Monday night. That's a whole nother.
But no, don't. That's not fair. Saquon had a good game.
Oh, I know. I'm
That's
just
not fair.
messing with you, playing devil's advocate, having
I'm
fun.
nice try.
Take
For
Ain't
that.
our
working.
live audience, sorry, Dan, not to cut you off. Rudy Campos says it's rare that a rookie quarterback will ever pan out in their first year. Even Patrick
Yeah,
Mahomes sat
but
before this
Mahomes
started
sat.
all.
oh,
Yeah, it's a
but
great
but but
point.
but but it's not about we're not talking about them as rookies. We're talking about their careers, right? We're talking about them in
That's what
general.
Mark did bring up the
Mm-mm.
career work.
Yep.
So obviously Bryce Young is a rookie. Of course, he's going to make a shit ton of mistakes. Excuse my language. Um, you know, but it's also about the situation that he's in, and the situation that he's in is contributing to the fact that he is not playing well. And yeah, that and maybe that could be the reason. Maybe he likes Zach Wilson and so many other players. Maybe that is the case. Maybe he does need to change the scenery. But it could also very well be that he's just not as good as we thought he was.
Do we also put him also in the contest, Mike? Right before you go,
Mhm.
this was from another comment online. Do we also put him in the contest? Is he another Ryan Lee?
No, I wouldn't go that far yet. Wouldn't go that far yet on the Ryan Leaf. I would say this, Dan, because we talked about this Thursday night. The name I think of, and it's ironic because he played in Carolina, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was able to resurrect his career after what happened to him in Cleveland. He went to Carolina. Then he gets moved to the Rams, backs up a Matthew Stafford,
Mm.
plays a couple of games. He cashes in on a deal with Tampa Bay, and now look at him. He's playing the best football of his career.
Absolutely.
But
The,
we've always the Browns saw something in Baker because he's the number
right.
one pick in
The
the
Browns
draft,
saw
and he's
something.
playing like it. He's playing like it, right?
Yeah.
Now, obviously.
And then, Sam Darnold, similar situation.
Yeah,
Drafted by the Jets, was thrusted into the spotlight. Hold
yeah.
on. Went to Carolina. What happened there? Then he signed a deal with San Francisco, sit behind Brock Purdy, goes to Minnesota, and right through 2 games, he's played very well for the Vikings.
Yeah, but Sam Darnold, I'm defending Sam Darnold. I will always be on the Sam Darnold defend hype train
Mm-hmm.
because I saw the bullshit through in New York. I
Yeah.
saw it. I watched it. I was front and center. It was all Jets in New
Yeah.
York. Now, Carolina, you can say, okay, part of it was coaching, part of it was Sam. In New York, it was all the Jets. There was no if, ands, buts about it. The Jets screwed the pooch there.
So to go to that point here, Carolina is the only organization in the NFL that's paying 3 coaches at the moment.
Mm,
They
yeah.
are paying
See,
Frank,
and
right?
that's how incompetent they are.
Yeah. They're paying Dave Canals. Oh, yeah. They're still paying Matt Rule, who's coaching at the University of Nebraska at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
Rudy
Frank
This,
Campos
this,
has this for us. I
this,
didn't have Bryce as the best QB in the draft, but even Stroud would struggle in that Panthers offense. If the Panthers were to have him set up the way the Bears did for Caleb, it would have been a lot different.
well, that's another good point because the Bears went out. They drafted Roma Dunzier to go with Caleb. They bring in Keenan Allen. And by the way, that trade they made with the Panthers, they got DJ Moore.
Right.
If
But
you're
also,
playing,
sorry,
if
go
you're
ahead, Mike.
playing quarterback for the Panthers today, your receivers are Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen, and the ghost of Steve Smith. Like,
and and as Rudy answered, Baker didn't fit. Sorry, Patch answered. Patchman joined us for a second here. Baker didn't fit with the Browns. He needed a system that worked. And Rudy, but even though
well,
Caleb is with the Bears unit that is working, it's still 1-1.
so wait, Patchy brought up Baker.
Patchy brought up Baker,
Hey,
yes.
Patchy, if you're listening, and I know that you are, if you want to be technical, the first 2 games of Baker Mayfield's season was started by Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah. It
and then
was.
Baker came in. By the way, speaking of similar positions, Justin Herbert didn't start right away. That was Tyrod Taylor. Tua didn't start right away. That was Ryan Fitzpatrick. There's a list of guys who just may not have been ready right away. So you start the veteran, and no one's going to complain about that.
Yeah,
By the way,
right.
Carolina, this also shows the importance of the preseason because Bryce Young played one series of the preseason in the third game against Bills backups. That's all he did.
Being a rookie quarterback in any system is not always going to be a slam dunk. There are quarterbacks who came out of the draft that we knew were going to excel. Obviously, Peyton Manning. I knew Troy Aikman was going to be good. I had to throw that in there for me. But even as Rudy said, when Tom Brady was first drafted, and we all have seen the picture of his draft picture, he wasn't a football ready guy. And everybody knows in this room, I hate Tom Brady more than anybody. But I'm sorry, Tom Brady went from blah to the best ever. It doesn't matter what you draft, it's what they come out to be.
Well, also thanks to thank the Jets for the Tom Brady stuff because they got Drew Bledsoe. Who knows what happens? Thanks, Mo Lewis.
Yeah.
The other part of this is there's multiple things. You have to have a system in place, and you have to have an organizational system. The New England Patriots had an organizational system. It was Bob Kraft. It was Bill Belichick. It was Tom Brady. That is why the question of who deserves more credit, Brady or Belichick, is the dumbest question you can ever ask because they both did their job so well.
They were a symbiotic circle, basically. One relied off the other, and it worked.
Right. In Carolina, you know the dumpster meme of and it's just a dumpster fire? Or
Yes.
GIF, whatever you want to call it. That's the Carolina Panthers in a nutshell. It is a dumpster fire. No one's going to want to play there. No one's going to want to go there. The fans barely want to go to the games.
Well,
It's a sideshow.
I think Rudy ties it up right here. After Peyton's rookie season, people had their doubts about him, but as horrible as he did. But sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get those ghosts in the machine out. And it's a good point that's showing that even a star with his pedigree coming in had a faulty first year and still turned out to be one of the best to ever do it.
Well, thing about this, the Colts went out and wound up getting a Marvin Harrison at one point, Reggie Wayne later on, Edgerrin James, Jeff Saturday on the offensive line. So if you're patient and you build around a guy, it works. But the thrusting into the spotlight and expect him to be the organizational savior, that doesn't always work. You know, I think a perfect example of that is Philip Rivers. Philip Rivers, great quarterback. He had Antonio Gates. He had multiple great receivers. He had LT. Never won, but he always gave you an opportunity to win.
Same can be said about Dan Marino.
We don't talk ill of Dan Marino on this show. we don't talk ill of that man. Greatest quarterback to never win a Super Bowl.
But, sorry, Mike's a big Dolphins fan. Had to hit him with
listen, your boy Eli Manning.
My boy.
Your boy Eli Manning.
Oh, bullshit, my boy. That's Billy Boy.
No, but Eli, think about Eli for a second. Eli had the ability to, he was never the best quarterback in the league.
No.
But he had abilities to, he could get hot at the right time, and he got the Giants to win 2 Super Bowls.
You're not going to be able to take those 2 Super Bowls away from him. He won them. But one controversially he won, the other one Manningham saved his life. Dan,
Me,
help me here, please. I I have a problem with the fact that Eli has 2 rings as it is because of those 2 plays. And obviously, I don't have to tell you what the plays are. You know them.
my point was this. My point was the Giants understood they had their quarterback. By the way, Eli sat on the bench most of his rookie year for Kurt Warner.
Right. Dak Prescott sat half the season for Tony Romo. Well, we can do this all day.
Right. But again, the organizations had an idea of what they were going to do and how they were going to build around those guys.
Right.
Carolina doesn't have any ideas. And that is a part of an organizational and structural failure. And that comes down to ownership. So, David Tepper, my friend, cheers to you.
And Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre. I wonder who had to throw that comment in before we switched topic.
Well, for 4 years, too.
And the blind one.
See, that's the wild part, dude.
Brett Favre's now robbing people of their welfare. That's a whole nother conversation.
Another conversation, another day.
All right. So Bryce Young is benched for Andy Dalton. Panthers in Vegas today playing the Raiders. By the way, the new look Raiders, too. They play with different edge since Antonio Pierce took over. But we move on to what Dan brought up earlier. Dan gets to have a nice, relaxing Sunday because of Thursday night football, which saw his New York Jets defeat the New England Patriots by a score of 24-3. Patchy's hero, Aaron Rodgers, was 27-35 for 281 yards and 2 touchdowns. One to Garrett Wilson and one to Alan Lazard. For the Patriots, Jacoby Brissett was 12 of 18 for 98 yards. And we did get to see the debut of Drake May for last little bit. Gerard Mayo did say on Friday, Jacoby Brissett is still the starter for the New England Patriots.
And that's the right move.
That is very much the right move. But
if you saw just real quick, you saw how the Jets played that Ravens offense. Sorry, that Patriots offense on Thursday. You understand why.
That offensive line move.
Drake May's the backup. You understand why.
And the future.
And I mean, I'll make my comment pretty quick because I was pretty impressed on how Aaron Rodgers looked. And I was mostly just watching Rodgers because I wanted to see how he looked in a full game against a defense that at one time used to fear everybody was afraid of. He walked in there out onto that field like he's done every year and did the same thing that he does, win. I hate to say it. Aaron Rodgers could bring the Jets back to where they should be. The only thing that I want to know from Dan, and I'm throwing it at him right now, is what was the thing on the sideline between Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers?
So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things going on here. First things first, I don't care. I don't care what it is. But just to answer Mark's question, he was talking about something about the way Robert Saleh celebrates. According to Aaron Rodgers, he's not much of a hugger-ish type of thing. Robert Saleh. So, but he does like this two-handed chest pushes, whatever. So Rodgers wasn't expecting it, and obviously was very uncomfortable there. So you can't just ignore that. It was very obvious. But I think the celebration was getting that 2-score lead that Robert Saleh has been emphasizing, not only Robert Saleh, but Aaron Rodgers as well, because Aaron Rodgers is like, we have to set the tone, and he wants to do this every game. So I'm assuming that's what it is, but it was very, very awkward, very uncomfortable, and just again, But I feel like people who talk about this are trying to get away from the fact that the Jets were absolutely dominant against the Patriots,
No,
and they're just trying
I said
and
they
they're just
won.
and then they're no, I'm not I'm just saying like the people who are trying to make it a bigger story than it is are trying to ignore the fact that the Jets are right now are in a zone with this offense and in a zone with winning games. So that's what it is. The national media is just trying to make up something because they can't stand the fact that the Jets actually have something that's competent. And
And as
that's a
Rudy's
thing of beauty.
and as Rudy says for you, Dan, Jets, 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 Jets. But Rudy
Mhm.
has made a proclamation for today. He has said the Panthers will win their first game today. Sorry,
Okay.
Rudy, I
That's
can't
a
agree
little mean. Got the Raiders covering. Come on, Rudy.
there.
So
and
Dan,
Giant and Patchy says he's going all in on the Giants to beat the Browns.
I mean, Patchy. I mean, that's just a little nuts. But Dan, I made the joke of it's a COVID thing between Rogers and Sells. So they want to get COVID. That was my joke. I'll say this:
uh
the Jet offense looked really good, especially running the ball with Braylon Allen and Brees Hall. That two-headed monster looked really good. I thought the story of this game wasn't Rodgers stuff. That was the Jet defense. And in particular, Will McDonald, who had a farm, EIEIO. Another multiple sack game, 7 quarterback hits. You know, Hassan Reddick's out in LA helping his brother JJ get ready to coach the Lakers. Jermaine Johnson tore his Achilles. Will McDonald, a guy who, listen, was a luxury pick a couple of years ago, all of a sudden is in a big spot. Back to back really good games for Will McDonald.
The person I pick out of this Jets game is Tyler Conklin. Had a great game for one of his biggest as a Jet, I believe. And I think that's because of Aaron Rodgers, because you're covering those receivers more and it's going to give him more open targets. So I believe Conklin, for me, was had the best surprise of the day of playing.
And Alan Lazard, I don't think had a drop. So Alan Lazard, you're improving already. But the Jets win. Next week they host the Denver Broncos,
Which will be another win.
which should be another one.
which should be another win. Should be.
You know, and who knows? Maybe the Broncos turn to Zach Wilson next week, and it's a Zach Wilson
God, wouldn't that
revenge
be
game.
funny? God,
That'd
that
be
would be a game I'd
hilarious.
actually turn
And,
into.
and you know he would win that game too, right? Is that how
Oh,
you
I
would?
know.
Could you
Yeah.
imagine Zach Wilson beats Aaron Rodgers?
Oh my
And,
God,
and the New
dude.
England Patriots go to San Francisco to play the Niners next week. Oh, but you could also see New England's. You know, they're entering a different time with Gerard Mayo at the helm. All right. So we dive in. That was Thursday night. We dive into some of the action of today, and we got 2 quarterbacks on the injury report. One we don't believe will play. One's an actual game time decision. Jordan Love of the Packers, we believe is going to not play again, but who knows? It could be a Malik Willis revenge game. And then Justin Herbert of the Chargers is a game time decision in Pittsburgh today against the Steelers. This didn't pop up until late in the week. So,
It showed. I saw it yesterday. So I
yeah.
mean, whatever it exactly is, I mean, it's enough to put on the injury report. But yet, as Mike put, so we won't know pretty much until game time. So that's like 90 minutes before when they have to release the actives and inactives is when we'll know if Justin Herbert will be playing.
Yeah, pay attention. About an hour away from that stuff. But now, I mean, are we this early? Are we too early in the season to say, you know what? I'm okay risking a Herbert or a Jordan Love. Because I think it's too early to risk him.
I think it's a scary thought any day right now in the NFL when you see an injury on any team. Nobody wants to see a player injured. But would you rather, let me rephrase the question. Would you rather have a big injury to your biggest star, your quarterback, now or in the second half of the season? Let's
Well, now,
rephrase. Let's rephrase the question. So if you're going to risk if you're going to risk Herbert and he gets injured, and he's going to miss 6 weeks. Would you rather it be now or at week 13?
I,
So
I would say now, but here's the thing. If I'm talking Herbert, this week you're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. That could be a team you're competing with for a wild card spot. Next week, you play that guy. Oh, he wears 15. He plays in Kansas City. He's pretty good. And then if you're talking about 6 weeks, they also have games with the Cardinals, the Saints, and the Browns in that stretch. And I only use the Browns because the Browns are another AFC team, but the Cardinals looked good last week. And
yes, it is.
The New Orleans Saints, you know what they did last week and what they've done the first 2 weeks. Very subtle on that one, Mark.
Yeah.
And by the way, they also have a game with the Bengals in that stretch of 6 weeks potentially. So another team they may have to compete with for a wild card. So either way, it really blows if you have to lose them for that long.
This has been a very interesting start to the football year. We love it. Let's keep it going.
All right. So I had an idea.
That's why
I'm sure
coming out of
people have
your
watched the show Around the Horn. Shout out Around the Horn, where they have a segment called Buy or Sell. So I'm going to give you guys a team that's either 2-0, 0-2. Are you going to buy this team, or are you going to sell them, or are you just unsure of what they really are?
Are we talking as a season wise? We're just talking week 3.
No, we're going forward.
Okay,
You want to
just talking forward.
buy
That's
or
all.
sell stock.
I just want to make sure I'm answering the question right. That's all.
You want to go Trading Places with Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd.
Great scene.
Great movie. Yeah.
Yes.
If you never watched,
go see
after you watch this, watch Trading Places. I'll get you ready for a football Sunday. All right, let's start with that game. And let's start with the team we just talked about, Mark. Are you buying or are you selling the Los Angeles Chargers?
Unfortunately, with the news with Herbert, I am selling. I do not see them working out very well with a backup quarterback. I think they're going to have a tough time in Pittsburgh as it's going to be. I'm down on the Chargers right now.
So you're selling the Chargers?
Yes.
Dan?
I mean, he's questionable, right?
He's a game time decision.
I'm still. I trust Jim Harbaugh will make a good decision. Like whether he starts Herbert, whether it's the backup, I think he'll find his way to a victory. I really think Jim Harbaugh is that good of a coach.
I'm with you. I'm buying the Chargers because of Jim Harbaugh, because J.K. Dobbins all of a sudden has become more relevant than J.K. Rowling. And the Chargers defense with Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa and company, that's nothing to sneeze at. Even if Herbs is going to be gone, it's not that much of a deal breaker for me because I don't have faith in the Charger receivers as it is. Yeah. They're winning by being a more physical football team.
That's more of the big problem is that who is he really throwing to? It's Josh Palmer. That's the name right now.
And Quentin Johnston, who's decided to learn to catch. But that might be a position they look to upgrade at the trade deadline.
Right.
Who knows? I mean, the other team in this game, the Steelers, they're 2-0. So, Dan, are you buying or selling the Steelers?
Buying. Love the defense.
Mark?
Me for Pittsburgh, I am buying. I agree with Dan. Defense is spectacular, but I'm liking the way Justin Fields is playing.
I'm selling. I'm not high on the Steelers. Listen, if Justin Fields were to play the whole year, at least you have a direction. I don't know what the Steelers. They're one injury on defense away for me from. I don't know. I just they beat Bo Nix and they beat Kirk Cousins, who never moved. I'm not impressed. Especially when they win one game by kicking all field goals.
Oh, that was
I
great.
mean, that's the one thing. Now, can Mike Tomlin shut me up? Sure. But I'm going to sell the Steelers. All right. We got two other teams in the AFC at 2-0. Mark, you buy or sell the Houston Texans?
I'm taking out multiple mortgages, T-bills. I'm buying it all. CJ Stroud. I said it last year. I'm saying it now. Going to take this team to new heights. All in, baby.
All right. Dan?
Yeah. No, I'm buying. I'm buying Houston. Houston, terrific coaching staff, terrific quarterback. You bring those two combos in, and then even parts of the defense look really good. So the overall, the team's just absolutely spectacular. And of course, the defense is not that shocking because of their coach, but but obviously, when we look at the Texans, we've been looking at the rise of this offense, run by CJ Stroud. Just terrific stuff. So I'm all in. I'm all in.
Yeah, you buy the Texans stock. Dan, they won that game last week against the Bears on their defense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter up front.
Daniil Hunter had a great game.
Oh, Derek Stingley, Jalen Petrie on the back end. And then, one man's goose is another one's gander or something. Is that how the saying goes? The Panthers take Bryce Young and you wind up with CJ Stroud. It worked. It worked if you're the Houston Texans. And by the way, we talked about the trade the Bears made with the Panthers. How about the trade the Texans made with the Cleveland Browns of the Deshaun Watson deal and all the picks they got and how they utilized it to build that roster? That is organizational, using your organizational resources.
From our counterpart in Austin, Texas, by Houston, but next year, one away from being the best team in the AFC. Just need one more year of maturity and to be in the playoff multiple years.
But
Well, they're going to be in the playoffs because they're going to win the South.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the division is. Ugh.
Why can't why?
Why what?
Oh, never
The
mind.
division, the division the Houston Texans are in is just.
Oh
blocked.
Yeah.
But watched the Titans last week. Like,
but here's my thing. Why can't it start now? You already have playoff experience.
Yeah, I know what you're talking.
Why can't it start now? Like, forget the maturity for next season. I want maturity now.
I think the depth of the AFC might be the reason you say it. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just making, different point.
I'm loving it.
I think in the AFC, once a certain team turns it around, and they turned it around a bit last week, the AFC all of a sudden becomes very different.
Yeah,
it's
loaded. I mean,
it's loaded nachos.
It is literally the best. I mean, and Mike, I mean, come on now. The power of the NFL has shifted between the NFC and the AFC within the last 5 years, and it's not even close.
Oh, so, 100%.
and that's the wild part about it. This AFC, man, they are so talented. These teams are so good. Even the teams that may not be as great have some studs on their team.
When you rank the top 10 quarterbacks in football,
Yeah.
you're probably 8, 9 deep in the AFC before you get to the first name in the NFC.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy.
Yeah. But by the way, Rudy's chiming me in and said, I'm buying them now, but as far as buying them to be Super Bowl contender, I'm not talking about being the Super Bowl. I'm talking
No, we're
about
just talking
breaking
about for the
up.
season.
I'm talking about breaking up the structure here. Like, why can't it happen now? Why can't they go out and compete, even if they don't win the Super Bowl? Which, of course, no one's expecting the Houston Texans to win the Super Bowl. We still have a powerhouse in Kansas City. But why not now? Why not start that conversation now instead of the year after?
So I'm going to play the second half of the debate side on this. The only reason why I'm gonna speak for Rudy. Rudy, I'm sorry if I miss out a turn. I'm gonna speak for Rudy is what I'm trying to hear him say. Why not now is because you're taking a bunch of guys who only a few of them have played together over the years. You're bringing in a guy who has already started off very well in Stephon Diggs and done well with CJ Stroud. The, the key is until you play a full season with a team, you're not going to know what it's capable of. I think the Houston Texans are in a position because I believe Stephon Diggs is only on for this year. So then I go to Dan's side of it. It has to happen now. It's not why it can't. It has to, or they're going to lose players come free agency.
Well, that's also the key on having Stroud still on his rookie deal. They have the ability to.
And Rudy was saying they will make the AFC Championship this year.
Yeah. Well, listen, like we said, the AFC's loaded. We're talking Houston. We're still obviously Kansas City. You guys buy the Steelers. Dan and I bought the Chargers. I'll buy the last team that we'll talk about 2-0, and that's the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a plethora of teams alive in the AFC where you could sit there and go, no one's a guarantee for the Super Bowl in the AFC. The only team that you'll sit here and say, yeah, they're not going to the Super Bowl, probably Denver and probably New England, but they had their fun. So that's the point here, is there's a lot of good teams in the AFC.
Yep.
All right. So the last one, the AFC, the Bills, I think we're all buying.
Yeah. Buffalo, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know
and
why
I'm only
people...
doing that for Nate Moser's wedding.
Nah, we're not buying it for his reasoning. We're buying it just to mock him.
Yeah.
No.
But I don't understand why people are sort of dismissing the Bills. Okay, so the Jets get Aaron Rodgers. Oh, the Miami Dolphins were rising with Tua. I don't understand why they're sort of dismissing the Bills here. The Buffalo Bills,
because they kept coming up short against Mahomes. That's all.
They kept coming up short against Mahomes, and they also lost people. But I was like, oh, wait a second. This is the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
You don't think Josh Allen has the grit to go out there
I don't
and
think
kick
they have
ass?
receivers.
But that doesn't matter. He showed last week doesn't need to have so much.
I stand corrected. Fair enough. I stand corrected. Fair enough.
And then in that second half against Arizona, Allen was in the zone too.
Yes.
So you can't.
Not a sponsor.
So you can't just all of a sudden dismiss the Bills just because they lost people and because the AFC got better.
Well, I can dismiss them
can't
because, look, I don't normally get into arguments. Dan and I rarely argue, but when we do, it's
fun.
No.
When it comes, I agree with Dan when it says, you can't just dismiss them because they got rid of players. I do, and I see there's been, when you lose a Stephon Diggs and a Gabe Davis, who were the majority of your receivers and receiving, that had to take a lot of wind out of Josh Allen. The Bills became better losing players in theory, as Rudy said. And it's been a slow climb.
But here would be my counterpoint to what you just said. You could lose the receivers. This team changed its identity last year.
It had to.
What when Joe Brady took over, they became. We're not going to have Josh Allen throw the ball 65 times a game. We're going to start punching people in the mouth and running the football.
Yeah, and then also, Josh Allen can make big plays when he needs to, not when he feels like it. Remember, because under their last few coordinators, not Dable, um, they Josh Allen went all ape shit and did his own thing. That was a mistake for the Buffalo Bills. That was a massive mistake. Joe Brady comes in here and cleans up his act. He's now the person that Dable was, which was get in his ear and you tell him we're not doing this until this point of the game. Until then, you're following my structure,
But
and
by the
it's
way,
kept Allen in line.
the quarterback run play with him still just scares the crap out of me.
Yeah.
And also, Rudy has given me my new acronym that is now going to stand for just today. I have a MAGA acronym. Make arguments great again. Mark.
Oh,
That is from Rudy.
Jesus
That is my
Christ.
acronym for the day.
I still can't take you seriously looking like that. So,
Oh, trust me, I'm serious. I figured if Dallas can screw up as much as they did last week, if I come out crazier looking and more passionate, maybe they'll feel the love.
all right. So let's hop to the NFC 2-0 teams. No one in the NFC East is 2-0.
No.
So we go to the North where we talked about Sam Darnold before, but Sam Darnold and the Vikings are 2-0. Mark, you buying or selling them?
I don't know what to make of the Minnesota Vikings. Look, I said what I liked Sam Darnold when he was drafted, when he was in college. I said the Jets never did enough for him. I thought he could be a great quarterback.
They
He's
gave him the
shown
wrong
he can,
coach.
yeah, he can show that he can still sling the ball 58 yards down the field as we saw last week. You give a quarterback, even a C plus quarterback, receivers like this, they'll be A plus quarterbacks in no time.
But he's not a C plus quarterback. He's always
No,
been
no,
good.
no,
He's
no.
always
I'm just
been.
saying if you gave I'm making and you're saying you put any quarterback with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, it's a win. This is the spot where I don't know. I have to wait for about a half a season before I'm going to make my decision on Minnesota.
I'm not waiting. I like the Vikings. I've been flip flopping between the Vikings lately. Some days I think they're frauds. Some days I think that they're actually really good. Um, so I'm with you, Mark. I don't know where I stand right now, like totally. However, I will say they look damn good right now, and
Yeah.
it's not a coincidence. I think Darnold makes his team better. If you want to talk about what makes the team better, I think it's Darnold.
Well, according to our third companion here, he thought Kirk Cousins was going to make him better. Kirk Cousins is a piece of shit.
Well, Kirk
Kirk
also, but
Cousins is the man.
to be fair to Kirk, he won that game in Philly, so it's like
He did win. I'm not taking it away from him. I have never seen the man come through for any organization. Get to the
oh,
playoffs and
I'm
prove
with
me
you.
wrong.
And that's the next step for Darnold. Like, can we see Sam Darnold lead a team to a playoff?
That's
Can
what I
we
want to
see
see.
that? And
Prove me
can
wrong.
and can't look, he was in the 49ers last year, so he understands, what a winning culture looks like on offense, right? So can he take what he learned in San Francisco as the backup to Brock Purdy? And can he apply those skills here in Minnesota and, you know, just go off and go to the next level? That's where I am at with Darnold. I'm not saying he has to win a playoff game. I don't think the Vikings are that good, but can he get to the playoffs? Can he lead them to the playoffs and prove me right that the Jets screwed him over and that's why his career took a tailspin?
I'm buying the Vikings as long as Justin Jefferson stays healthy.
But does he
Justin
have to stay
Jefferson
healthy?
is
He,
the
he does, Dan, because here's going to be the thing. If Justin Jefferson stays healthy, in a couple of weeks, they're going to get Hawkinson back. Then they're going to have Jordan Addison with Aaron Jones running the ball. This
I see what you
offense,
mean.
all of a sudden, Sam Darnold won't have to do everything for this offense.
Right.
He's going
You
to
won't
have the
have to.
weapons at his disposal. And
Well,
the
he
true.
certainly
key,
won't have to be as mobile as he is right now.
right,
That's for sure.
and the key to that, though, is if he puts up, argument's sake, 24 points, that Brian Flores led defense is good enough
It
to not give
it's
up 25.
stud. Now, I'm with you that players have to come back, but that's sort of why I'm okay with, if they were to lose Jefferson, that I would be okay with, the Vikings still
Lo-
being steady.
Losing Jefferson would hurt for this reason.
But
Now, hold on. All of a sudden, you have a guy on defense now. You're not doubling, so that means Addison's one on one, Hawkinson's one on one, Aaron Jones out of the backfield. I can load up different pressures now on Sam Darnold without thinking, okay, I have to take away that guy because that's the guy he needs. Think
but
about it like San Francisco for a
but
sec.
I get that, but go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, what I'm saying is that I feel like the Vikings are a good enough offense now that they have an actual quarterback. I feel like the Vikings are a good enough offense where if if you have weapons, they may not be as good as Justin Jefferson, but if you have the playmakers and you have the weapons and you have the offensive line to protect Darnold, where yes, he's going to have to make more plays, and yes, the players that are not as good as Jefferson are going to have to step up and stuff. Like I feel like they have a good enough offense where they can do that
The question
and
would just be
still
how
win
much trust you
games.
have in those guys.
But Darnold has because not going to have a choice here. So good
Well, I'm not talking about
quarterbacks,
Darnold. I'm just talking about generality.
but it's to me, I feel like as long as you have Darnold there and you have the coordinators and the offensive system that they have right now, I feel like Darnold will thrive. Even I'm not saying I'm not saying he's going to win a lot without Jefferson. No, Jefferson makes a massive difference, but I'm not talking about, you know, winning playoff games. I'm just talking about making the playoffs.
Oh no, I think they're a playoff team. Uh, Let me ask you this, because I think they're a playoff team at the moment. They go play the Lions next week. I'm making that up. I don't know if that's true. Without Justin Jefferson, you're going to take the Vikings to go and beat the Lions without Jefferson.
well, I mean, there's a chance they could.
it'd be
I
the
mean, the
Packers.
Lions.
Good try though, Mike.
I mean, the Lions also. I mean, they lost the Buccaneers. I mean, so I mean, just pointing it out there.
I mean, the
Uh,
Lions secondary also has issues. That's a whole nother conversation.
yeah.
All right, but all right, Mark, the Seattle Seahawks are 2-0. You buying or selling?
I am Nicholas Taylor. I know you're here. Thank you for the comments. I'm buying the Seattle Seahawks. I
Ooh.
have had a lot of faith in number one quarterbacks out of New York, and I like the two that are still playing for other teams, and that's Geno Smith and Sam Darnold. They were the two I thought that were going to be the long term answer for the Jets. Geno's time is almost done. I think this is last year on the contract anyway. But when you have receivers like Lockett, Metcalf, and Njigba, and you have that line that's opening up holes for Kenneth Walker. Well, not Kenneth Walker, it's Charbonnet right now. Sorry, because Walker was injured. And the Seattle defense is the Legion of Boom as it used to be, but it's playing solid defense and they're winning games. And you know what? Push me up a dub on Seattle.
Dan,
So,
so
so
oh,
I for one thing feel like the Seahawks ran into a very soft early schedule. So I'm nowhere near buying this team, but I look, I'll give them credit. They won their games when they had to. So there you go. You beat the terrible Broncos and you beat the terrible Patriots.
Very calm, relaxed game during
I,
that one.
I'm with Dan. If I can't buy the Steelers off of their 2 wins, I sure as heck can't buy the Seahawks off their 2 wins.
Excuse me.
Um, I'll say this about the Seattle Seahawks: they may have the best trio of wide receivers in the league with DK and Lockett and Jackson Smith and Jigba. I still don't.
My
Hmm?
my money number one should be on Smith and Jigba.
Oh,
He
he's so
he's
good.
he's elite.
Yeah, he's
And
Ohio State legend.
and you know, he wasn't the steal of the draft, but he certainly is a very underrated. He wasn't really accounted for, when we were talking about receivers.
Yeah, and Mike McDonald's done a nice job so far, but yeah, I'm not buying. All right, Mark, you
Well, it can't be
buying?
my team. Can't be my team. They didn't make it 2-0. So go ahead.
Are you buying the team that went into Jerry's world and what became 2-0, the New Orleans Saints?
All right, I'm gonna get struck by lightning for my answer. I'm buying the New
Excuse me.
Orleans Saints. I am. I haven't seen the Saints play like this since Drew Brees was there. There's excitement on the team. You can see Kamara is completely the reverse of what he was last year. With the additions in the receiving game, it takes a lot of pressure off him. And I, I think David Carr has finally gotten the team that he needs
Wait,
to
wait,
be
wait, wait, wait,
successful.
wait. What did you just say?
I said that Derek Carr just got the team
All
he
right. I
needs.
thought you said David at first.
David, who's David? Please. Derek Carr finally got, by the way, I did. That was just kind of nicely covered up. No, you got Derek Carr, who's been given an offense that can score on any team. And I'm sorry, they made trash of the Cowboys last week, but they didn't do it by 90-yard passes every time. It was one deep pass to Shakir. They're utilizing every part of that team, whether it's the pass, the run, or the underneath game. They got speedy receivers. They got a good line. Their defense isn't bad, isn't great. I call it average. But you only need to be average if your offense is winning you the games. So I'm buying.
Dan,
So I'm not buying the Saints, but they're a wagon. They're very exciting, and yeah, I'll be cheering for them. Of course, I want chaos. Screw that NFC South. I want I want all the craziness going on in New Orleans. But no, I'm not buying. Sorry, I can't. Not long term. But kudos to Derek Carr. He's looked great. And kudos to the Saints offense. Uh they have Kubiak running that offense, right? The
Clint
son.
Kubiak is running
Yes.
the offense.
Yeah, so and he's been terrific. So yeah, no, I'm impressed, and I hope that they continue to have a good season. I'm just not quite there yet.
I'm with Dan. They're a wagon. They're fun. I don't know if they could keep it up. One of their wins is the Carolina Panthers.
And that's a fair enough statement there
Not,
in itself. But you go, look, not to say I have the best defense in the league. Dallas doesn't have a bad defense.
no,
So to go in
but
and do what they did to Dallas says something. That's all I'm saying.
But also, Alvin Kamara hasn't looked like that in 3 years.
Oh yeah, he looks the best he has in a very long time.
So that's something too.
Dude,
I I just don't trust it.
yeah.
I still think they're too Taysom Hill reliant. That's a whole nother conversation. All right.
Now Rudy just wants me to buy in just because I want to keep cheering for them and stuff,
But
which
I would
which
buy
is
in
fine.
if they would get me Mardi Gras beats.
Yeah. To me, I feel like two consecutive victories against big time teams across the NFL. I feel like that would change the conversation if they continue their winning ways. I just don't know if they are.
They face the Philadelphia Eagles today at 1 o'clock. Okay. The Philadelphia Eagles have announced that AJ Brown is out for this game. That changes the Eagles' offense 100%.
Are they ever going to get him back?
Estimates are 2 weeks right now.
So here's the thing for the Saints. They play Philly today, as you mentioned. Next week they go to Atlanta. October 7th, Monday Night Football. The New Orleans Saints go to Kansas City. That'll be their first game outdoors of the season. That
Isn't that
let's have
wild?
that conversation. They
That's
haven't played a
wild.
game
Never thought of
outside
that.
yet.
Good point, Mike. Good point.
They're going to play outside in Kansas City on Monday night. Yeah, take your
That's
go.
gonna be some game.
All right, and the last team undefeated right now are the Buccaneers. I'll start this. I'm buying. I'm in. Baker's playing the best football of his career. Mike Evans is a future Hall of Famer. That defense, Todd Bowles doesn't know a whole lot. He's not a great head coach. He knows defense. This defense is good enough. I'm in on the Bucs.
I like that comment, Rudy. If the Eagles do lose, I'll buy into the Saints for the whole season. You got to do it.
Are you buying into the Bucs?
See, I hate to think ill of the Baker Mayfield because I just liked him since college.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry,
Um,
I am selling on the Bucs. I
I'm
like
not.
Mike Evans. I like Chris Godwin. Both of them are strong. I don't think they're going to hold up as long as people think they are. I think the defense will falter and the offense is just going to get overwhelmed.
I think as long I can't play hypotheticals here. For now I'm gonna say no, but I reserve the right to change my answer because I do like Baker Mayfield. I do like that offense.
Since Dennis is vice president, he does get a mulligan. Yes.
Just like Mark, you on the golf course, you get a mulligan.
Every time I tee off. As Rudy puts it up, as a Falcon fan, you should shut your mouth about buying into the Bucs, Mike.
Hey, I always wanted to be a pirate, man.
But you can't. We already have Buccaneer Patsy
That's
on the
true. That's
roster.
true. You know who Patchy would be in the Peter Pan movie? He'd be Smitty. That's who Patchy would be. All right. All right. Just because of time, I'll go with this. What 0-2 team do you have the most confidence in?
The Ravens.
Oh, wait. All right. Now I'm going to put you on the spot. They win today in Dallas.
Yes.
Are you talking Dan or me?
I was talking to Dan. Dan said the
Okay.
Ravens.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, Mark, what 0-2 team you buying?
The Indianapolis Colts.
Oh,
I think Anthony Richardson
Okay.
is now shaking off the rust. I think he's ready. I'd buy into them for winning today.
I am totally all in on the new. I can't say that with a straight face. I'm all in on the Bengals.
I was about to say, put on a paper bag and say it. Then we would know.
I'm in on the Bengals. They should have beaten the Chiefs last week. They're going to put a 40 spot up on Dairy Queen Dan Quinn tomorrow night. They're going to get T. Higgins back. Oh boy, AFC, look out. The Cincinnati Bengals are back.
And can you believe they're putting that Bengals Commanders game on primetime ABC? I mean,
Dude, we got two Monday. Listen, we got two
these
Monday
Monday
night
Niners,
games.
and that's the thing, these Monday Niners are not they're not that good.
By the way, we're gonna get two blowouts on Monday night.
It's so bad, bro. Like,
Yeah,
come on now.
the Bengals are gonna crush the Commanders, and the Bills are gonna crush the Jaguars. I have zero faith in the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I've lost all faith in the Jaguars. You
Can
know,
you
I
believe
like
like,
Trevor
but
Lawrence.
can you
But
believe a lot of people? Can you believe a lot of people don't like the number on the Jags though? On the Bills though, so they're picking the Jags to cover.
Well, the number's
Like,
five and a half.
Can you
No,
what?
I take the Bills.
Number's 5.5. Yeah,
Take the Bills. Like, what are you
I take the
the
talking
Bills with the
about?
points.
You got your mind?
Dan brought up the Ravens, so I'm going to make this very quick. The
Okay.
only reason why the Ravens are 0-2 is because they're still letting Lamar control the running game. You have Derrick Henry. I'm playing them today, and I'm saying this. You have the best running back in football, and you're not giving him the ball. Do you think you're Seattle and Marshawn Lynch? Come on. You don't go spend that type of money on a player to sit him on the bench. He's on my fucking fantasy teams. Use him.
Also,
no, in all seriousness, this is a game that's going to put all games today to shame because I think this is going to be the best game of the day, and it's going to be a tight one. And Dallas wins by 3.
and
We
you don't
will
blow a
also be
10-point
live.
lead to the
Sports
Raiders.
Insanity Network will be live at 4:30 for this game. Anybody wants to come in and join, you are more than welcome.
Yeah, I have to work, so no. But
I'll be quoting Edgar Allan Poe most of the day, so no.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that was one of the games we were going to talk about. So
yeah, we made it quick.
You made it quick. You worried at all?
Only on one factor, and I'll be 100% honest, is that I just literally cursed the Dallas defensive line, and Derrick Henry's going to have like 250 yards.
Oh, by the way, Baltimore, let's get Mark Andrews involved on offense.
Yeah.
Quickly,
nice.
Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce, who's been less relevant this season?
See, here's the difference, though. Travis Kelce doesn't have to be great because they got Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. Baltimore needs Mark Andrews because all they got outside of that is Zay Flowers.
Fair enough.
So, all right. Ravens Cowboys today. Talked a little bit about this one from the Justin Herbert injury perspective, but we got the Chargers, Dan, and Pittsburgh playing the Steelers.
Look, as impressive as the Steelers defense has been, I just feel like the Chargers offense and the coaching, it is not even close. Night and day, this team is better than last year, the last few years, really. And that to me is going to be the difference. And I like Tomlin. He's one of the greatest of all time to ever coach in this league. But he just doesn't have the team. He doesn't have the guts right now. But the Steelers are very impressive. I love that defense.
Well, you brought up the defense for a second. I'm going to flip it to the Chargers. Mark, we talked about this before we got on the air. Troy Fatanu, the offensive lineman, he's done for the year.
Right.
The Steelers. Broderick Jones, their first-round pick from a couple of years ago, he struggled mightily so far. Horrible. This is a game for Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack to get after Justin Fields. And if the Charger defense can minimize the Justin Fields runs, this is a Chargers win.
And that's where I have the problem for you. I think the defense is going to be, the Pittsburgh defense is going to be overwhelming for the Chargers. And Mike just gave up the key to this game. You're going to see Justin Fields run wild today. He's gonna do it. You're gonna see a Michael Vick type day from Justin Fields.
We haven't seen anyone run wild like that since Hulkamania ran wild.
So I'm just saying, that's what I'm seeing from this game.
All right, so we got that. We got the Texans and the Vikings, and what should be another fun one. Derek Stingley, Justin Jefferson in a battle of LSU legends. Ooh.
And that kind of makes me think of Andre Rison and Deion Sanders matchup a long time ago. Ooh.
Oh.
This game is going to be a lot of fun. I truly hope it's not a run over game when we're talking 56-56. I'd see a little bit of defense, something, but I look for Houston to win today 35-31.
Dan, anything on the Texans and the Vikings?
So, I think it's gonna be a better matchup than people think. It's gonna be closer for sure. Ultimately, I do think that the Texans will be just coaching in general. They're more ready. I think they'll win this game.
Yeah, I like the Texans on the road too. All right. We brought it up before. The Eagles go to New Orleans, play the Saints. The Eagles are coming off that awful, awful loss to the
If you
Falcons
say
on Monday night.
give me New Orleans wins this game due to the fact that the Eagles are that beat up right now, injury wise.
Oh. Yeah, no AJ Brown.
And when you say no AJ Brown, that's like saying no Randy Moss. It's the biggest threat on. I mean, look, not to take anything away from Saquon, he's your biggest threat on offense. By doing that, now you can make sure Devontae Smith is covered. It makes you now understand the reason they got Johan Dotson and Saquon is Saquon. So,
Dan?
But Philly, I don't think it's not going to be as blowout. It's not be that, but Philly's going to win. I have confidence in that.
If Philly's pass defense can be better than it was the last minute of that game against Atlanta, that'd be nice. That being said, this is a game. This is a game for Nick Sirianni that they have to come out swinging, because I feel like really since last year and when they started to turn downward, they haven't recovered. And yeah, they win week 1 against Green Bay, but that game they were not impressive. Monday night, they lose the way they did. They have to find a way to get back to old school Eagle football. If they don't, they're going to be in trouble.
they should go find Randall Cunningham.
All right. Ravens, Cowboys, Mark spoke about earlier. We got the Rams and the 49ers. And
The battle of injuries.
There's only one reason to talk about this. This is the Walking Dead game. The Rams are without 3/5 of their offensive line. They're without Cooper Kupp. They're without Puka Nakua. They're going to be without John Johnson, the safety. The Niners are going to be down McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle. The list goes on and on and on.
I mean, this has got to be the most injury plagued game I've seen in a long time of starters, not just players itself, of starters. It's like everybody's searching on those sites right now to see who's plus 5,000 for a touchdown that actually could pay off.
Juwan Jennings.
No, the running back guy, the guy I didn't know his name.
Jordan Mason.
Yeah, him.
Not going to be plus 5,000.
I'm making a joke. I'm lucky I know with all the people out that there's someone starting on the team.
My God.
Okay? This has got to be the biggest joke of a football game, even though it's not like they planned this. You're gonna watch 2 college football teams play in the NFL.
I feel so bad for the Rams, man. I
No,
thought
but
they were
do you
there.
think Matt Stafford wants to play today?
I wonder this: if you're the Rams, would you entertain trading Stafford just
Sitting at let Denson start today.
just for the fact of,
Then
hey,
he's going to end up on his ass.
no, we're gonna, we're thinking about changing direction, and because we're gonna have a top pick, and we're too talented to have that top pick.
Down two wide receivers, a tight end, and the offensive line.
Oh,
My God. And that's not something you have in reserve anywhere.
nope. All right. Then Sunday night we got the Chiefs at the Falcons.
Another
This
fun
is
game.
low key a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch for Bijan to have a decent night for Atlanta. I think more on the ground than out of the air.
Well, yeah, you got to
And
run the ball, keep Mahomes off the field.
and
Yeah.
then Mahomes is Mahomes.
If the Falcons defense could um continue to just absolutely pass rush Mahomes and make him look silly, they got a good chance. But Mahomes is that good. That's the problem. Like he is really that good.
Mark, this might be your Travis Kelsey breakout game.
Look, I understand why he's receiving left targets. As Mike put it, really laid it out for me this morning. But over the last 3 weeks, the man hasn't had bubkiss. Last 2 weeks, really bubkiss. It would be great to see him have a breakout game, and I hope Mike is right.
Yeah, you got to think AJ Terrell, who's one of the more underrated corners in the league, he'll go on Rasheed Rice. Listen, those safeties are going to have to be big for Atlanta too. Jesse Bates and the other one that they signed. It is what it is. But the safeties are going to have to play big for the Falcons. And then tomorrow night, we brought up the Redskins, the Commanders, and the Bengals, but the other one's the Jags and the Bills.
Bills win. Jags
Oh,
suck.
Bill, the Jags are just. Ugh. All right, Dan, I'm coming to you. Your fantasy player of the day is.
My fantasy player of the day, Saquon's got to make up for his just absolutely gut wrenching, not horrible. He played well, but just gut wrenching drop that he made that gave the Falcons more time. I think recovers here big time and it goes off uh for a massive, massive amounts of points today. So all Saquon managers, beware.
Mark.
I'm looking for the guy who I said is shaking off all the rust and is about to bring him back to winning status, and that's good old Anthony Richardson. He's going to do it with the legs, and he's going to do it through the air today.
I'm going with the guy who had a breakout last week, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Another
Lions
one of mine.
secondary
Another
has
one of
been
mine.
struggling. Kyler and MHJ look like they're on the same page. Look out. It could be it should be a shootout in Arizona today. All right. That'll do it for this week's edition of the Sunday Sideline Report here on the SIN YouTube channel. Dan, you want to give the socials?
At S Insanity Real. That is the Sports Insanity Network social handle on Facebook and X. Please follow there and follow us on YouTube. You know, you're watching us right now on it. Just hit that subscribe button. Please subscribe to us. And of course, watch all of our videos. We post a lot of them. And then of course the website, thesportssanitynetwork.com.
They're all great blogs, logs, plays, trades, and automobiles. Shout out our friend Rudy Campos, who joined in on the fun, and his guys at Sweep the League. Although, Rudy, I still want to say sweep the leg. I can't help it. Mark, anything on the dugout of Millwood that
Yes, the dugout of Millwood will getting its grading order back. If we remember from 2 weeks ago, we had some amazing cards pulled, and I'm hoping to see an Ellie De La Cruz, Ricky Henderson, Gem Mint 10, baby. Dual auto.
All right. Until next week, for Dan, Mark, Mike, everyone enjoy week 3 of the NFL action. We'll check back with you next week here on the SIN Sunday Sideline Report here on the SIN YouTube channel. Have a wonderful Sunday, everybody.